Yeah, put the binder over. Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? And I'm just going to apologize right now for the crazy hair. We are having some really humid and like lots of rain today. So I'm just going to apologize, and I'm sure, you know, we can still make it work. So I'm Jennifer Burr, and I'm a consultant at Region 10, and I work with Edugence. So today's Zoom meeting, we're really going to look at like some end of year items. Yes, I'm recording the Zoom meeting, and I can send that link to I can send that link to you after the meeting. Okay. All right. So let's go in, and feel free to chime in and ask questions or add any notes that you feel you would like to. This is an interactive Zoom. So let's see. Let's go ahead and get into our screen. Give me just a second. Okay. Can everybody see the Edugence screen? Just give me a thumbs up. I can see you. All right, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll start with our EOY forms. So we can just do a general search. Okay. Hello. So we can look at this form right here. All right, so the end of year LPAC review is going to look like this. So when we go to academic progress, as those results start to come in, they will populate right here where it says star, and same with TELPAS. I believe those scores will be coming in on the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go right down here to where it says level of academic achievement. So right here you have a few different options. So this is populating with the most current score, but you have some options of what you want to populate here. So if you want your semester 1 grades, if you want your third 9 weeks grades to populate, you can choose that. It's really up to you. So as you're scrolling, if you have decided to do a pending results, if you're waiting on scores, it is very important that you select pending results, because when you do that, it will populate that student's information into a report, so you can see once all the scores come in and it's time to review over the summer to see who's eligible for reclassification. Those names that you selected as pending results will populate into a form that will have all of your TELPAS scores and all of your STAR scores already there. So you can see just line by line who is eligible for reclassification. Do I have any questions about that?
I think Mirna's on mute.
Okay.
Yes. So I
Oh.
have a question real quick. I have a list of all the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, because I'm in an academy, Rogers Academy, of immediate LPAC, and then I have another list for reclassification. So if I right now start a group for reclassification, I'll just go in there and check off pending, because we have TELPAC, but we don't have any star, right? For all of them, all the ones that are on reclassification.
All right, I'm sorry.
I have a list, a printout. Let's say third grade. I have a printout for my LEB students for third grade. So then I have two lists. One is the ones that are eligible for reclassification pending their star scores, right? And then I have a list for immediate LPAC, end of the year LPAC, because they're not going to be eligible for reclassification. So can I go ahead and start my group for reclassification and then click pending to have their LPACs?
So Gala, do you want to chime in on that?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yay!
Okay. My headphones aren't working, but obviously my mic is, so that is good. And I'm sorry, Mirna, I didn't hear you because I was trying to get my headset to work. So
okay.
Can you repeat that? I apologize.
No, it's okay. So I have this printout. I don't know if you recognize it, Gala. So like the first part has L reclassification, and then the bottom part has end of the year review LPAC roster. So
yes,
these I already created to have an LPAC. But
okay.
Should I hold off or should I click pending on them? Because as of the results for TELPAS, all of them are advanced high,
yes,
but we're pending their scores.
So those right there on the top, you're gonna have your teachers do a rubric for those kiddos, the reclassification rubric on Edugence. And then those are the kids that you're gonna create a separate meeting for, because you want to wait for the TELPAS results of listening and speaking that come in on the 23rd. And once those TELPAS results come in on the 23rd, then you're going to be able to tell which of those kids are actually pending or which ones you can move forward with reclassification. Because I'm assuming from your 5th grade kiddos, you probably already might have a few on that list that may have passed their star, right? So now
I don't.
So in your 5th grade list, you have your kids that have an advanced high on their writing, but then if they pass the star right now, you also know that they have 2 out of the 5 criteria, really. So come May 23rd, you're then going to know their listening and speaking score. And based on that listening speaking score, if they passed 5th grade, or if they pass star, then you're going to move forward with reclassifying them. The other kids that maybe didn't pass, they're going to retest, and you would mark those pending.
So on the 23rd, when the TELPAS scores come in for the listening and the speaking, right? Because this is new for me, so they will have to have advanced high in all the sections.
Yes. Anytime we're talking about TELPAS, anything related to TELPAS, it has to be an advanced high.
Okay.
So your pending is really, you can only mark pending. You're only going to mark pending for those students that after you get the TELPAS scores on May 23rd, and they've received a listening and speaking advanced high rating, and in all of the grades except for 4th, 7th, 9th, and 10th, you're looking, remember those grades, we're looking at the star reading and writing. So we're not looking at TELPAS anymore. So in your case at the academy, your 4th grade your 4th grade and 7th grade kiddos, you're actually going to be pending those. I'm sorry, I'm probably confusing y'all. You're going to wait for those, you're going to wait for to put pending, to make it easy, you really, to be able to put pending, you have to wait for the TELPAS scores. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's going to tell you the pending scores are really only for the ones where, based on the fact that they've met advanced high on listening and speaking and TELPAS, now we're just waiting on that final star score because we have everything else.
And for the star score, because you said for 4th and 7th, that'll be the reading and the writing, right?
And the writing, yeah. So we're no longer looking at the TELPAS writing for 4th and 7th. We're looking at the star writing for them. So for any kid that got an advanced high listening and speaking in 4th grade and in 7th grade, they're going to be pending until we get their star reading and their star writing.
And what score would, I mean, it would be in the, not the approaches or the, it would be in the meets?
No, it's approaches.
Approaches.
Meets and masters.
As long as they pass, right?
Yes, as long as they pass.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. That's always a confusing aspect of the reclassification piece, especially now since we're typically having to do, the pending so often.
Okay.
Great question. Thank you. All right, so let's look at the EL reclassification rubric real quickly. So to do that, to fill out the EL reclassification rubric online, you'll go to the icon that says Other Documents, which is this piece of paper that has the top right-hand corner folded in. So you'll click on Other Documents. And then down here at the bottom is the EL reclassification form. And so you just click on that and it'll pull up. And it looks similar to the paper form, except instead of them being side by side like on the paper, we put them top and bottom. But when you print it out, it'll look just like the TEA form. So under listening and reading, you have 2 options. You have the no second language support needed or some second language support needed. So you choose one of those. And then you do the same for speaking and writing. So you have no support needed or some support needed. Then right under that, you'll need to add, TEA has asked the teacher to include comments. So why did you make the selections that you did? So you would fill those out right there. And then you have the choice right here, routinely demonstrates the readiness for reclassification, yes or no. So you make your selection. And then you're going to save it. So right after you save it, you can include the teacher signature. Now, I know it says LPAC signatures. That's a little misleading. So whoever fills this form out will be the teacher who signs. Okay, so you would just click on the button. You would click on the button, sign your name, save the signature. I'll just go in and delete this one later. Okay, and it populates right there. Type in your name and then the date that you completed it. Let me write down this number, so I'll delete the form later. And so if you wanted to print the form, this is what it's going to look like. So see, it has the signature right here and the date of completion. All right. Any questions about filling this one out? Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. So, Gala, do you want me to show some reports or some meeting managers? Is there one that you would prefer me to show over the other?
For the reports?
Uh-huh.
I would like the reports, the end of the, so I believe if you'll click on the reports, I have to see it to remember.
Okay.
It's the one where the exit pending.
Okay. So
So
under
if you could show them that exit pending report.
Okay.
That'll be good.
Okay. So under reports, the last one is exit pending. So you can click on exit pending and you can select whatever campus you're on. Let's see. Who would have now, and then you can even select by grade, or you can just do all grades. So remember how we're all saying if you're waiting on scores, it needs to be exit pending results, because when you select that, it's going to populate into this report. And this is what it looks like. So you see the student's name. And so as those STAR scores and EOC scores and TELPAS scores start to come in, those will all populate right here. So as a campus, you can go line by line and see who is eligible for reclassification using this one form. You're not waiting for, you don't have to generate all these different Excel sheets to see who's met the criteria, because you'll have all of those things right here.
And that's going to be a really important spreadsheet for all of you. In fact, it's part of the meeting minutes binder where you're going to make sure that you print that out for your campus as to who is pending. Because if you might not, perhaps you might not return next year, or somebody is going to take over as the LPAC coordinator, they're going to need a list of the students that are pending, and that they're going to have to go back in and finish out the documentation and the LPAC paperwork. So please make sure that before you leave, once you finish with all of your LPACs, and I'll send out reminders, and then of course we're going to do a district pending report, but we want you guys to have access to that report, and that your principal is aware of that report as well, just to make sure that they get followed up on, and that we have all of the documentation, that we're getting those parent permissions back, and that we're double checking on our kids as soon as we get those scores. So the other report that I was thinking, Jennifer, that would be helpful for them would be the LPAC. I know that we showed it in the other training, but I'd love to go over it again as that LPAC form saved and sealed.
Sure.
Just because that's always a good report for them to go back in and check their, how they've managed their LPACs.
Okay. So under LPAC forms saved and sealed, again, you can look at by grade, by teacher. You can even put in dates. So one thing I tell districts is if you want to generate a list of how or what instructional accommodations were used at the end of year, you can do that. So you could do you know if Advanced Learning Academy did theirs online? The instructional accommodations?
We can try mine. Mine is Rogers Academy 161.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you wanted to look, let's go back. They probably started putting in end of year instructional accommodations, like we'll say February. And then you can put in a date range if you want to. So we'll say up to today. And you can choose the form. So we can look at accommodations. All right. So if those, let's try it.
The accommodations that you're clicking on are for example, for the kids that took the STAR, right?
No, the instructional accommodations, like beginning of year, middle of year, end of year. So
okay, 'cause we haven't done the end of the year. We've done up to the mid of the year.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then we can go back a little bit.
Oh, I was thinking the state assessment.
Sorry, it is a little confusing. We'll go back.
I know because I'm not the LPAC coordinator, but I'm just helping. That's why all of this is new to me.
And thank you for doing that, Mirna.
Yes.
Especially at Rogers where there are so many L's. You know, typically for Rogers Academy, especially because Miss Kite is also the testing coordinator, it's a lot. So we really appreciate your help with that. So thank you.
Ms. Gomez,
Yes.
Ms. Gomez was here today. We were going crazy with the ACE denials and
Yes.
new paperwork I had never seen.
Yes, the academies and Rogers in particular, you guys have a big L population, and so it's a lot. So thank you for helping out with it.
Definitely. Thank you so much. You know, the expression, many hands make light work. And I mean, sometimes everybody's got to chip in and, you know, we get it done. Okay. So yes, here are your beginning of year accommodations and middle of year accommodations, and it's by student. So this is something that you could give teachers at the beginning of next year to kind of see where their students are as far as like how they ended the year, and are those still accommodations that need to be put in place for the beginning of year. It gives teachers like a starting point.
Do you print this out, or will we still be able to give the teachers the other form?
You can print this out. You can export it into Excel if you wanted, or if you wanted to do, if you just wanted to actually look at the form, you could go to LPAC history for each student and get an idea. It's really up to you. You can export it into Excel and print it. That's one way to do it, definitely. But you know, teachers will have access to this in the students' LPAC history, because July 31st, we seal everything for that school year, and everything rolls over into the next school year. So everything is available electronically in the LPAC history. Let me show you where that is.
I was just going to ask, where is that?
Okay, that's a great question. So the student's LPAC history is the icon at the bottom. We'll just do a quick search. So it's right here. It's the little clock looking icon. When you click on the LPAC history, it will bring up the forms. So since this is the first year of implementation, these are all the forms that have been completed for this student for this year. So next year when you log in, you'll have this green right here, and it'll say 2018, 2019, and then you'll have a green bar across that says 2019, 2020. And as you complete forms and seal them, they'll populate, so you get like a clear yearly history of what's going on with that student. So for 2018, 2019, here are all the forms that have information put in. So you can see their state assessment results, their instructional accommodations. So a teacher could go in and click on this form, and it'll populate, and it will show what instructional accommodations were given throughout the year. So that's one way the teacher can go in, or you can run a report like what I just showed you on the report side and print that out. So it's really up to the campus how they want to do that. But those, it shows two different ways of doing that. But the LPAC history gives the teachers and administrators a good idea of what's going on from year to year. And again, any of these forms, they're hyperlinked, so you can go in and click on, okay, well, what was the state assessment for this year? And it'll show you, you can pull it up and see. Or you can run a report. If you're an administrator on a campus and you need to know all of the decisions that were made, there's that reporting feature as well. Let me show you that one. So under reports, if you wanted to see all of the state assessment decisions that were made, you can do that. So this one right here, it gives you student and then the subject that they're taking the star in, and then anything that was given for those students.
Where that's from Baskin?
Yes. So you would just make a selection and
I just want to comment on that. I mean, I love how they have put in all the comments, and there's some that are a little bit lengthier than others. Those are very helpful. Just the way that they're looking at that. It's, it's very helpful to see those comments, especially for any kid that might have a special situation. So that looks great.
And it's going to be helpful for the following year when it's time to decide what
Excellent.
test.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And remember, there's, kids move to different campuses, for one reason or another. And the more time you invest in this, the more helpful it's going to be to the next campus.
Yes.
So they have access to all of this. And so if they can go in and see, oh, okay, this is why these certain decisions were made. I mean, that's just going to benefit the student.
The one that
this is good.
I know we're doing end of the year and I'm getting ahead of myself, but I love it that there's an HLS and parent permission report as well, because that's going to be very, very helpful at the beginning of the year, and just in seeing, do we have those, have they been completed? Do we have that information? Because, eventually we want to make sure that we're doing everything through Edugence. so that we're just able to pull those reports and pull the documentation and be able to send it, anywhere that we need, or just always have it for the kids. So that's great.
Mm-hmm. So if you haven't seen the home language survey and parent permission form report, it's right above exit pending. So you can just click right there, choose a campus. Rogers, I'm going to look at Rogers again, if that's okay.
Yes.
Thank you. We're not picking on you, I promise.
No, that's fine. We used mine yesterday too.
Okay, right on. So right here, it gives you a report of, let me shrink this a little bit. Okay.
We had a great question too, Jennifer. Just going back to when we were looking at the LPAC history,
Mm-hmm.
when we look at the LPAC history and in parentheses it says created on certain date, if the form was created, but then once it gets saved and sealed, does it change to saved or sealed? Or does it always just say created?
I think it just says created.
Just says created.
But
Okay.
then you can go into the actual form and see when it was
when it was saved and when it was sealed. Okay.
Good question. All right. So here's the the home language survey and parent permission. This just gives you a quick glance of what information's been put in. So you have some home language surveys that haven't been completed. And again, you can export all of these into Excel and, filter by grade or, by kids who do have one and don't. And that gives you a little bit of an opportunity to see what information you still need and what you already have.
I'm curious because I thought they were all going by grade level, but they're not. But either way, like for the first one, Brianna, she's with me this year. She has a home language survey. Why does it say no?
Yeah, that was my question.
Okay, let's take
And then she's in the bilingual, or is it because they're dual? Would it be different?
Is she I'm thinking for if they're a student that maybe was here pre-K through first, and they're just now in the system in Edugence, and all of their previous documentation was done in eStar, then I'm wondering if it would generate a no.
Let's take
and then if they're brand new to SAISD, first time in Edugence, when we're doing, you guys have been really diligent about putting in the home language survey date, and putting in the information into the home language survey screen on Edugence, then that might be why it says yes on there.
You know what I'm noticing? The ones that said yes on there, they're all brand new to us this year.
Okay. So that's why. So that's a great question.
I have a quick question. So that's not going to populate from School Mint or from iText or something like that?
No, we wouldn't be able to, work with school. We would love to have that work, obviously, for the programs to talk to each other.
Right.
The thing that we've noticed with iText is iText can feed into Edugence because that's how we get all of our kids. So Jennifer, that might be something that we can maybe possibly look into.
Okay.
With iText, and see about, you put that information already into iText.
Right.
So how is it that we could get that field from iText to feed into the field into Edugence?
Yes, that would be great.
So all of these things are great ideas. I know Edugence is, Jennifer and the crew over there are they're really working hard because we've talked about the coding piece and how we really want the coding piece to be a big part of helping us out with our data clerks here. So they're working on that big piece. I know we keep giving you all these projects, Jennifer, and all
No,
these.
I love it because I want it to be easy for teachers and administrators.
Yeah, and it may just require something that we work with data warehousing. Like we figure out how is it that if iText is already feeding us the kids, then if the home language survey information is in there and we have that date, how can we get that field to feed into Edugence? So
let me ask you this. So do your parents enroll through iText? Because I know with Skyward districts, their parents can go online and fill out the home language survey. How do you capture the home language survey answers from the parents? Is it on paper or is it through this?
We have a system called School Mint.
Okay.
And School Mint moves into iText.
Okay.
So iText
does it transfer
apparently
the PEMS codes?
Apparently in iText we don't have the home language survey date.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that we couldn't do that.
Okay.
So it would have to feed in from School Mint. But you know what? Let me talk with Dr. Balmer, because School Mint might have a file just like like a data file that we can upload. We're still trying to get the WMLS data file uploaded. We have it uploaded. We just need to make some adjustments to where it can actually be seen in your screens. So that will be with something I'll ask Dr. Balmer and see if obviously there is some kind of file, because you can pull it to an Excel spreadsheet. So your School Mint data. So I'll get with her and I'll try and figure that out, because that's a great idea.
Yeah. And let me know maybe send me an example file of what that information looks like.
Yeah.
I can talk to our development team to see how that, could that be like a nightly file grab that we're getting?
Yes.
Or if it would be something that's done kind of like the WMLS, uploaded every month or whatever. Because that would make it easy.
But this is a printout of the language survey that we've gotten for the new kids. It just looks like this.
Yes, I'll find out about that, because that's definitely something that we can eventually work towards.
Mm-hmm. Good questions. I love doing these meetings because, I want to get more ideas to take to our development team to make this something that gets better and better. So keep the ideas coming. All right. One other thing, I know that we're still kind of focused on end of year, but as you think about the beginning of next school year, one thing you may want to have your teachers look at would be the TELPAS dashboard. So you could do
yes, good idea, Jennifer.
Yeah,
TELPAS is about to be upon us.
It is. Yes, it is about to be upon all of us, for sure.
I have a question.
Sure.
So before you move into that, I was pulling up that report that you were just sharing, and I have a lot of blanks for my HLS or my parent permission. And I know that I put that information in, and I just double checked one of the students, and they have their HLS and they have the parent permission, but it says no, like it's blank or it says no.
Is it sealed? Are those two sealed?
No. Is that why?
Yes.
Okay.
So Jennifer, for all of the reports, for the information to feed into that report,
I haven't sealed them.
you would you essentially need to seal all of your forms for it to actually feed into that report?
For things like state assessment, parent permission, home language survey, yes.
Oh, okay. 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 So
And do
then
you have to seal each individual student, or do you just seal the meeting?
You have to seal each individual student, because you'll have, if you can't just seal a meeting, because you'll have parent permissions rolling in at different times. So you would have to seal that individually.
Okay. I haven't sealed it. Okay.
okay, so that's good to know. So for the HLS, for the parent permission, they have to be sealed.
And you would want those to be sealed anyway, because those are forms that, okay, so July 31st comes around and everything's sealed for that, for the 18-19 school year. Then it rolls over to the 19-20 school year. And so things like your home language survey and your parent permission and your initial identification, those will show as being sealed from now on. So those don't go back to gray each year. So those are things that you would want to seal anyway. Does that make sense?
So essentially, Jennifer, for those, obviously they're going to get sealed anyways in July when we do the rollover.
Well, no, not necessarily. Those are all ones that, if they're not like things like state assessment will be sealed, instructional accommodations will be sealed. Forms that you interact with each year, and each year there's a possibility of it being different, those will go back to gray. But forms that you just need for like initial identification and exit,
Those don't automatically get sealed.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that, because I had originally told everybody that everything is sealed.
Well, like everything that is like interacted in, as far as like what teachers would be working with, things that you interact with each year.
Uh-huh.
So everything does get sealed that pertains to that specific school year. And so if you did an initial identification on a student this year, and it's going to be green, so when the next school year starts, it's still going to be green for that initial identification to show that it's been done. And that's not something that you need to get a signature or information on. But things like the state assessment form for next year will be gray, because you have to interact with that each year.
Oh, okay. So, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
So everything is sealed, but the color on those ones that you interact with every day goes back to gray.
Right.
So that it's not confusing that you can't open a new one up.
Right. And that's more for things like everything does get sealed, as far as like all your instructional accommodations for this year will be sealed. Your state assessment, that will be done. But then next year, when you go in and look, those icons will be gray at the beginning of the year, because you haven't put in that year's instructional accommodations. You haven't made any state assessment decisions. So that will be gray.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for clarifying.
Sorry, I didn't mean to create.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure, and I'll put that out as a little note in my next newsletter. So that's good.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to be freaking out like, I put that in last year. It's okay. Everything will be there that needs to be there.
So what is the difference? Because today I was working on trying to set up some of the LPACs for the end of the year. and some of their little books were green, and I believe that Ms. Gomez said that those were sealed, but then some were orange. What's the difference between the green and the orange?
Great question. So green means that information's been put in and that form has been sealed. So it's orange. It means information has been put in and saved, but it hasn't been sealed.
Okay.
You just need to go into that form for that student and, you know, just click on the, if it's state assessment, you click on the little book and it populates with the form, and then you just click, if it's complete, you click seal and it'll give you a pop-up, are you sure you want to seal this form? And you click yes.
So gray means panic because you haven't done anything, especially the third, fourth, or fifth.
Right. Right.
Okay.
So at the beginning of the year, as you're looking at, let's say, for example, instructional accommodations, and you say, please have all of your beginning of year instructional accommodations done, I don't know, 1st of October. And so you can go in as an administrator and pull up your campus, and if you look at the little A icon for instructional accommodations and they're all gray, that means that your teachers haven't put in anything. Well, or you could go in and see that all of them have orange. All the A's for instructional accommodations show as orange. That means that your teachers are putting things in and they are saving. So it's just a very quick visual way to see how people are interacting with the forms.
But that would only work for beginning of year, right? Because when we go into middle of year, they're already going to be orange.
Right. So that's when you would run the report that shows, you can pull up your campus, you can put in a date range, you know, put in, if you're doing middle of year, you could do from October 5th to, I don't know, February 1st, and it'll show what has been put in for each student. So, I mean, that's one way you could see right away what students have that information and who doesn't. Do you want me to show you what I mean by that?
No, I got it.
You're good? Okay. All right. So let's look at TELPAS dashboard. Let's look at last year's because we have all of that. So if we wanted to look at a summary, if you wanted to do, we'll just do all grades. So here is kind of an overview. So right here is your district. So you had 8,612 students take TELPAS. Wow, that's a lot of kiddos. So this is how they performed overall. So you can see for listening, 11% scored beginning, and then it gives you a number right under it. So this is a percentage up here in the colored bar, but then right under it, I think it says, like, what is that? What number is that? Like, I need new glasses.
1164.
Right. That's the actual student count. So the colored part gives you the percent, and the actual part underneath shows you the actual student count. So, you know, 29% or 2,473 kids scored advanced in listening. So this is your district numbers, and so under that you have individual campus scores. So you can see kind of how you did compared to overall as a district. And again, you can filter this. You can export it into Excel. So this gives you like kind of a big picture overview. If you wanted to look a little more, if you want to drill down a little bit, you could do that. Again, I hate to pick on people. we could do a high school.
The cool thing about this, Jennifer, that I'm thinking is when the 2019 scores get dropped,
Mhm.
you can pull your campus, and then you can filter out when you pull it to a spreadsheet. You can filter out the
Right.
kids that got an advanced high on their listening and speaking,
Right.
and then you'll have your list. You won't have to go through the full total school list.
Mhm.
You can just adjust them immediately on that spreadsheet.
Right. So I just pulled up Brackenridge. So if you wanted to look at, I need to see all of my kids who scored advanced in speaking. So you go to the little pie chart right here and you just click. It says that 89 kiddos scored advanced in speaking. So you can click on that and it'll actually show you how these kids right here scored in the other domains. So of this group right here, you had 51% of them scored intermediate in reading, and then 28% scored advanced in reading. So it gives you a little more, you can kind of filter it down. And then it gives you a list right here of who those kids are and how they're progressing. It shows 3 years of data right here. So you've got 2016, 2017, 2018. So it's gray, light blue, and then dark blue. So you can immediately, you have a way of seeing how they're doing. This kiddo right here, his 2016 was beginning, and then the year after that he scored intermediate, and then last year he stayed the same. So it gives you a good reference of like who's progressing and who's kind of struggling a little bit. So
one question, Jennifer.
Sure.
So when we get our 2019 scores, will those also be populated, or will the 2016 fall off and it'll just be 3 at a time?
That's a really great question. I'm not completely sure. You'll always have all of the scores in the student's profile, but I'm not sure for the purpose of this particular report if it would show 4.
Okay.
Let me ask about that and I will let you know. That's a good question. I think usually they like to keep, instead of having these like huge reports, I think it's usually 3 years, but I'll check on that.
Okay.
So something that you could do with your teachers at the beginning of the year is, let's see, let's go to, I haven't picked on a middle school yet. I'm gonna have to do that at some point. Let's see. So you could have your teachers look at their kids in their class. So this would be a great way for them to see at the beginning of the year where their kids are, because this is going to populate with the spring of 2019 scores. So you can, I hope this teacher has kids that hotel pass. No. Maybe not. Do we know any teachers at this campus who would have L's in their class? There we go. Okay, so this teacher has 2 kiddos. And as you can see, there's a wide variety of abilities here. So you can see right away. Let's look at a different, I need a campus and a teacher that has a few kids to choose from.
Or you can do mine.
Okay.
second grade, Rogers Academy, second
Rogers.
grade.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. And then,
Chavarria.
I'm sorry?
Chavarria. Yeah. I'm right.
Can you spell it?
Chavarria.
Okay.
Right there.
Perfect. Okay. So you can have your teachers look and immediately you see, oh, wow, this group of kiddos, you know, they're going to need some intensive support. So if you wanted to look at the beginning, we'll do the beginning listening. It'll give you a list of all of those kids and how they scored in other domains. And so with this list, you can see that, you know, when you're pulling intervention groups, like you would want this to be an intervention group, and you would do different interventions than, say, you know, kids who have scored advanced in listening. So
What is this one for?
this is for TELPAS. So
I know. It's just like this. I was gonna see, because right now when you pulled up Jackie Moreno, she was by herself.
mm-hmm.
Oh, and that green part. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because my class right now is like half of them are in MTSS or they're special ed, so
Mm-hmm.
it shows.
So with, you know, with some classes, you're going to have kids, it's like a pretty even distribution. Others, you're going to know right away kind of where they are. But for teachers who, you know, maybe like at the secondary level, you get kind of a mixture of kids who are brand new and kids who have been here since pre-K, but they're still coded as LEP. You know, just the people who don't normally have to interact with all the compliance pieces, you know, like your Algebra 1 teachers who have just all of these different groups of kids. You can show them this because it's broken down by teacher. You can show them, you know, where their kids are as far as language is concerned. And why that's important is, you know, you may want to do certain groupings within the classroom. You may, when you do, if you do any type of intervention time, I know some districts do Saturday schools. You're going to want to do a Saturday school where you really focus on the vocabulary for those kiddos that are, you know, beginning and intermediate in language. You know, if you really want to meet them kind of where they are. But I think
would this tell me like how they're doing speaking wise? Because my class, I'm a dual language teacher, but the class itself in general doesn't want to speak Spanish. So right now that I'm seeing all of this writing I understand, but the speaking, and I mean that to me doesn't, I don't know exactly how they're scored when they speak into that little device. But
and last year was the first year that they did that online TELPAS testing. And so across the board, we saw scores kind of bottom out, and kids, you know, who were they were on track to exit maybe or be reclassified, weren't reclassified because of the TELPAS listening and speaking last year. So, I mean, this is a TELPAS report. So, I mean, this is last year's data. Now, once you get your TELPAS scores loaded for this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I say that because you're going to load this spring's TELPAS scores, and this will be the report that's available, you know, for the teachers at the beginning of next year. And so if you have the teachers at the beginning of next year see where their students ended, I mean, because essentially this is kind of the end of the year result because it's TELPAS. if you have your teachers look at this report at the beginning of the year, it gives them a starting point as to where the students kind of left off as far as instruction in the school was concerned the year before.
Okay, I forgot about the scores coming in on the 23rd. I'm like,
Yeah.
I worked really hard on like two that didn't want to.
This isn't a true reflection. No, these are kids that are rostered in your class right now, but these are last year's end of the year scores.
Okay.
That's why I think this is a powerful tool for kind of the beginning of the year. So
yes, it is.
See like who those kids are and where they kind of need to begin. And because you can drill down, you could have intervention groups somewhat lined up first day of school.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're going to always have some movement within that, but this gives them a great place to start. You're like, I don't know where my kids are as far as what do they know? What do they don't know? Where are they linguistically? You have them look at this report and you can immediately see, oh, I need to pull groups, and you can make some intervention plans immediately.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Going back to the actual end of year on Edugence, can you kind of walk me through what that needs to look like for my students that are first year monitor or second year monitor? Like, what do I do? What do I click? What do I document? Comments?
Good one.
Okay. If you wanted to see who your monitor year 1 kids are to begin with, you could do a search. I just clicked on M1 and it'll pull up all of your kids who are coded as monitor year 1.
But then what does that look like in the actual form?
Should we make a group just for M1 and M2, or I don't know. Like
Yes.
she was saying.
Yes.
I would do that.
Yes. So I recommend that you keep your kids that have already been reclassified separate. And you could probably put them all together. Like you could do your first years and your second years together. This is a great quick way to do that. It also matches, obviously you're going to go ahead and print out your exited form from BI and double check that. But Jennifer, if you could go to the end of the year, the screen.
Okay.
And then you're talking about the recommendation, right, Maida?
So all of that. So I had one quick question. Does the LPAC date, is there any way to generate the LPAC date to everybody that's going to be on my agenda? Or do I have to do that one by one? Because currently I do it one by one. I don't know how to do it anyway.
You actually do it one by one on purpose, right, Jennifer? The whole reason that you input an LPAC date each time is to ensure that the proper LPAC date is actually going in, because Jennifer, I believe you explained it, that sometimes we'll populate the meetings and we'll put the date on the meeting and then.
Right. And so this is just one way, like for auditing purposes, if you go in and you create an LPAC, you're going to put in information, and then, you've set the date for May 5th, and then May 5th comes around and the parent, your LPAC parent, calls and says, oh, I have a sick kid at home. I can't make it. And you're going to have to reschedule that. Well, by doing that, by having each date, it ensures that you're actually having the LPAC on the date specified.
Okay, that's fine. I just wondered if there was another way, because it's just a lot.
Yeah, it's
160.
I know.
160 is a lot.
Yeah, I totally understand. And that it's more of an auditing feature than anything else.
Okay, so for the kids that are reclassified M1, what do I do for those?
Okay, so down here for the LPAC recommendations, you when you're meeting, when you're doing your LPAC, if everything is looking good, if they're a first year monitor, you're going to move them to
an S. Okay.
Yeah. So
so your F's on your exited reclassified monitor, your F's are going to change to the S's. And then your S's are going to change to the classify as third year monitor.
And if they're still continuing in dual language, I'm still going to click the second box that says continue bilingual program and then dual language too.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Any notes, anything that I have to put in the notes?
The one thing that you want to make sure of with your monitor kids is, you do want to review their grades, how they're doing, anything that you feel is pertinent to their success, not just in school, but also in the program. So, anything that you feel is important, especially since all of your kids are going to be continuing in dual language.
Right. Okay.
Definitely something like data from that piece. The other thing I did want to mention, Jennifer, if you could just go up a little bit under academic progress.
Sure.
So right under academic progress, there's a spot where it says other and specify.
Yes.
So right under the assessment linguistic accommodations, that right there, either in the other portion or in the notes portion, that's really where you want to talk about any child that has had significant failures. So if you have some kids that, you've been monitoring and you've been doing that 9-week monitoring and it's really, you're noticing that they're really struggling, that would be something that you're going to want to put in other. What class maybe did they not pass? What kind of intervention program is happening? This is going to be very important for your 5th and 8th grade kids, especially when it comes time to doing your GPCs, because for our L students that are being GPC'd, remember that an LPAC representative has to input their information as far as, what that looks like for a student that is an English learner. And I'm going to be sending out the SSI manual on that as far as what it looks, for GPC kids, because when you're doing the GPC for your L's, any L has to have LPAC comments from somebody from the LPAC committee there, which ideally would be you as an assistant principal. I know that GPCs are done, typically over the summer. A lot of people stay late to be able to do those. So that's just one thing that you'll want to have noted on that.
And then I have one more question. The grades, what you said how we can select the semester or the 9-week. So if I switch those, it'll automatically switch the score, or I have to go in and manually change the score? Because I have, some of them are showing up semester 1, some of them are showing up 9-week 3.
You can if you refresh that should take care of that.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay.
So how do you do that, Jennifer? Can you show that again? So like, if we want to go and we want to do 9 weeks, the fourth 9 weeks, right? We would click on that and then we would hit that red toggle button.
That should, well, you don't have NW scores yet.
Do NW3. If you do NW,
that's what's populating right now. Let's see.
So semester 1 is populating right now. I noticed that I've been checking them.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And some of my students say semester 1, and some of my students say 9-week 3. And so, I want to have the most accurate. So I wanted to know how I did that. If I have to manually input it or.
So Jennifer, can you show them where they can actually see all of the grades when they go to an actual student? Because I think that'll be helpful. And then Maida, the one thing that I was thinking, is that particular student, was that student only there for the third 9 weeks, and maybe that's why that's this grade? Because if they weren't there for the whole, to be able to have a semester 1 grade, that might be why the nine weeks, why it's only populating the third 9 weeks, is that they didn't have an actual.
I'd have to check. I was just looking at, I'd have to check.
But the cool thing about this is that when you're going in and you're actually clicking on a student, you can see all of their grades in here. So,
so here, I'll show you how to do that.
Yes, thank you.
So this is Acosta, and so she was the first one. Okay, so to get that information, you can just click on the student's name, and right here it populates with their schedule and their teachers and then their grades each grading cycle.
So when you're doing your LPACs, what I would recommend is that if you're in your LPACs, maybe one of the teachers in there or somebody in there has that list of all of your 4th graders, and then you're just clicking on this, you get an instant glance of, all of the grades, not just what's been populated into the end of the year screen. So it's a nice way to just kind of look at that automatically that way, because it's quick.
It is. And so when you click on the different tabs, this is the student's profile. So you have the schedule with all the grades, you have any state assessment scores. And so when you asked if it was going to have, 4 years worth of data in that report that I showed you earlier on the TELPAS dashboard, all of that is available right here in the student's profile. So you can see, like, if you have, it looks like this student has several years of TELPAS scores in. Any other assessments that you wanted, LPAC data, oh, because you don't have the history. Okay. And then any documents that you want to upload. I do know some districts like to upload like writing samples from that student. Anything extra that you want to upload, you can do that here. And all of this, if you go over here to the export to PDF, will give you a report, like a student profile report.
I have a quick question. When you
Sure.
click on where you could upload writing samples, would that take the place of having those writing samples in the folder? You would still have to have those samples in the folder.
I believe you still have to have those in the folder, but I do know that some districts are wanting that to be part of their like online portfolio. I mean, that's just something. If you get some documentation from another district that you think is important, that you would want to attach to that student, you could attach that there. So anything that you felt needed to kind of travel with the student, you could put that there. And
for example, I'm sorry, Jennifer, but
sure.
Today, I mean, for the first time ever, I saw a printout on, I guess it was part of the ARD on some of the students in our ACE unit, and they filled out the STAR alt information, which our special ed teacher said that would transfer over to the TELPAS alt, or something like that. Well, either way, there was a printout where they decided on those tests, so I could upload them right here, or no?
So
Gala,
you go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, so Let me give you an example. So if you wanted to upload some scores, so you would choose file, and like I have TELPAS. So this could be any form. So you would choose the file, then you could put like what it was. So if you were uploading like an R decision or parent communication or just whatever it is, you can give it a name. So I'm just going to put TELPAS.
Like this is the form I'm saying. I can just upload it here.
Okay, so that was for a second grader, right, Mirna?
No, this is for a third grader that he took the STAR Alt. So special ed teacher said that because they had discussed STAR Alt, that automatically transferred, that information transferred to him taking the TELPAS Alt.
Yes. Yes.
So, but I have the printout because there wasn't any other paperwork that would indicate anything on any kind of test that this student in the ACE unit took. So we have 3 students like that in our ACE unit.
Mm-hmm. So because typically what we would do is for your students, I think yesterday I showed it, but maybe we can show it again real quick, is that in the state assessment that okay, so I remember yesterday you had said all of your state assessments were sealed, right?
Yes.
That's typically where we would make a note that child was actually testing the Alt 2.
Mm-hmm.
But because your state assessments were sealed, then you would make note of that on the end of the year. But I think anything that is regarding, especially our special ed students, is helpful to have uploaded to Edugence. We just want to make sure that that we're careful with what it is that we upload from eSped. So,
and that was kind of, I mean, that's Ms. Gomez wanted, I guess, to ask you too, because this information is from STAR Alt, and she said, well, if they would have filled out their TELPAS Alt, that would have been like bilingual paperwork as opposed to this other one. I don't know. I'm confused on those.
why don't you do this? Will you, do you think you could scan that over to me, Mirna, and I'll take a look at it, and then let's go ahead and see what, how we upload it, because I think if you make note on the student's Edugence file, that should be enough. Especially if it's a third grader, I would see that would be more appropriate maybe for a second grader where they still haven't yet to determine that the child is taking STAR Alt 2.
Okay, yes, because the 3 students that are in the ACE unit, one's in 3rd, one's in 4th, and one's in 5th.
Yeah, and see the ARD has already determined that they're taking STAR Alt 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an automatic transfer now for our kids that are taking STAR Alt 2. They're going to take TELPAS Alt now.
Mm-hmm.
It's only for our second graders where they're actually filling out that TELPAS decision form for TELPAS Alt 2.
Okay.
And it's because they haven't yet determined whether or not the student is eligible for STAR Alt 2.
Okay.
So then in that case, yes, for any of your second graders, you would want to upload that form.
Information. Okay. Either way, I'll scan them and email them to you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, if possible.
Sure.
When you're setting up the end of year meeting for your monitor year 1 and 2, I just want to know, is it just the end of year that you select, or do you also select the form that says monitor year 1 through 4?
Gala, do you
Yes.
Box.
We just do end of the year.
Just end of the year. Okay.
Yeah. And the monitor form, the monitor 1 through 4 form is a great form that we're going to probably start using next year to do our 9-week monitoring.
Okay.
It's a lot more thorough than what the miscellaneous review is.
Okay.
And I think we're going to be able to move from that San Antonio plan, which is on paper, to actually using the monitor 1 through 4 screens in Edugence. So I think that's going to be, just a district decision that we make, because it is such a good form, that we use that rather than doing a miscellaneous review TELPAS and uploading the San Antonio form. It's just a little bit more paperwork, so to speak, when we can replace it with that 1 to 4.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so if you wanted to upload something, you would just upload the file. You could name it whatever, and then you have some folders that you could file them under. So, I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of different file folders. So, if you want to list that under English language arts, you could do that, and then you would just say upload all. And it gives you the little green check mark, and then close, and then it will populate right there. And it'll say attached by, and there's my region 10 and the date and the time. And you can always click on it and it'll show you what it is. But I'm going to go ahead and delete this because this little one doesn't need that form. Okay. All right. We talked about a wide variety of topics.
We did, and I appreciate you guys going way past the time that we had intended on ending at 5:15. So you guys stayed for a little bit longer. So we appreciate that. Are there any remaining questions? How comfortable do you feel with this? Because Jennifer's been so awesome doing these Zooms with us. We've had the 2 Zooms. But Jennifer, I did my first Zoom yesterday.
Right.
I was very excited to do it. So I'm planning on probably having another Edugence Zoom, just because it's super helpful. I think when people start getting into their LPACs and they start really moving forward with the LPACs, because right now we're still, it's hard to get those LPACs done right now just because of testing. But I think once people start getting into the LPACing, I think we're going to have more of a need to have another Zoom and kind of answer some questions and look at some more examples. So I will be planning more Edugence Zoom tutorials, and probably even just any kind of meeting that you guys want to have. We'll do some more in the afternoon, just so that everybody can get their questions answered, and we can record them and post them to the SMORE. So you'll hear some upcoming news for us to be doing that probably within the week.
All right.
Any last questions? Good to see you, Claribel. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome,
Good to see you,
Donna.
Ms. Jenkins. Okay, well, you guys have an awesome afternoon. Yes, thank you. And Jackie too, thank you for coming. So and I think we had also Miss Dennis here joined us as well. So thank you, Miss Dennis, for coming. We appreciate you guys attending in the afternoon, and good luck with testing, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.